All right, I'm here today with Jeffrey Young. Jeffrey Young is running for Congress in Kentucky. Welcome today, Jeff. Can you tell us a little bit about your campaign?
Yes, thanks, Travis. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Kentucky's 6th Congressional District, which includes Lexington, Frankfort, and about 18 other counties in central and eastern Kentucky.
Good, terrific. So tell me why you're running for Congress.
I'm running for Congress because I don't like the direction the United States is going in, especially with regard to foreign policy and the issue of war. I've been an anti-war activist for about 45 years now, all of my adult life, and we are being made poor by war and excessive preparations for war.
Okay, all right. And so, what is some of your campaign? What is some of the things you want to do when you go into Congress, when you become a congressman?
I want to get on the House Committee on Foreign Relations and Foreign Affairs and replace Andy Barr, who is on there now and doing a lot of damage to the American people and the people of Kentucky. How? By making more enemies. No country can survive if it has 9/10 of the countries in the world against it. And the United States' provocative and aggressive actions over the last 70 years have made us a lot of enemies. And I want to change that. Our foreign policy needs to be changed, reevaluated, and changed basically 180 degrees.
I understand that you have a billboard is it Lexington?
Yes, it is. It's at the corner of North Broadway and New Circle Road, and it says, vote Geoff Young. He's for peace. Vote May 17th, which is the day of the Democratic primary and also the Republican primary. And it says, abolish the CIA.
Abolish.
And it gives my website,
okay.
youngforkentucky.com. YOUNG number 4 KY.com.
That was young for the number 4 KY.com.
You got it.
Great.
Abolish the CIA.
Abolish the Central Intelligence Agency.
That's right.
Isn't that a little bit naive, Jeff? Because for example, there's 3.1 million Russians right now in America, and one CIA analyst, former CIA analyst, said that there's just so many spies in America right now. And wouldn't that be naive to abolish the Central Intelligence Agency?
Well, there are more Mexicans than Russians in America. Why aren't we treating them all as spies? But seriously, the FBI is supposed to take care of spies in the United States. They're supposed to track them, track terrorists, track potential terrorists, people who are organizing and planning terrorist actions. The CIA is not supposed to be involved in United States domestic affairs at all. They were formed in 1947 to gather intelligence on foreign countries and to reduce the threats of invasion or attacks by other countries.
And
Just not their job.
Okay, so have they done things that the FBI was supposed to do and they do instead? Like have they interfered?
Yes.
Have they interfered? Explain that a little bit to us.
Okay, well, I have one example that's particularly dramatic. When the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003,
Mm-hmm.
there were troops from all branches of the military. There were CIA people as part of the invasion, and there were FBI people there too. Their job was to interrogate Iraqi prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
And the FBI is very good at interrogating people without torturing them. They're able to get actual information.
Mm-hmm.
When the CIA gets involved in interrogating people, torture happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality of the intelligence that you get when you torture a prisoner is worthless.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get real information. None of it is useful. None of it is usable.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up simply radicalizing
Mm-hmm.
the people that you have tortured.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, ISIS organized itself in Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. All the Iraqis told each other about how they'd been tortured,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where ISIS got its start.
So what you're saying is what the term blowback. You're saying that basically because of what the criminal actions of the CIA, it's caused the United States it's caused United States citizens to be killed, and also
Right.
our own military to be killed.
That's correct. That's correct. ISIS has killed a lot of people, a lot of American troops, a lot of innocent civilians, and part of that is because of the CIA and their torture program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been in effect for decades.
Mm-hmm.
There were hearings on it decades ago, and they claimed they stopped, but they never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It's been hidden from Congress and the American people.
And we talked about it before. We talked a little bit about how there's so many programs that the CIA has done domestically. They would hire prostitutes, for example, in the 1960s, and they would basically put LSD in people's in particular people's to see the effects of LSD, for example. That was in the 60s, and then of course
Right.
there was you mentioned also there was journalism too, that basically they would pay journalists, and so basically these journalists were actually paid CIA people here domestically, which is completely illegal. And then of course
Right.
we also
it violates the charter of the CIA. That when it was set up in 1947, they were not to engage in domestic operations against the American people.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done it all along,
Mm-hmm.
ever
Mm-hmm.
since they began.
Mm-hmm.
And they have hundreds of journalists over the years on their payroll, and subtly influencing what we are allowed to read and hear in the news.
Yes, absolutely. And then of course there's the privacy issues, as we talked about too, is that during the there's with the Patriot Act, and there's so many issues with that, with people's freedom and their privacy. And for example, the CIA, of course, they actually hacked into Dianne Feinstein's computer, and
Right.
she was
Also,
quite angry about that. So yes.
Also, the Prime Minister or the Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, they bugged her phone,
Mm-hmm.
and she was very angry when she found that out. They simply get in and try to create chaos and mess things up for regular Americans.
Yeah.
They make enemies. They make enemies all over the world, and we don't know what's going to result from all of these enemies.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's blowback, as we talked about. There basically it comes back to hurt regular Americans.
Right. And the intelligence, the quality of the intelligence produced by the CIA since, about the early 1980s
Mm-hmm.
has been very poor.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things they missed 9/11, they missed the recent advances of the Taliban in Afghanistan, caught them completely off guard. They had no idea what was coming. Therefore, as an intelligence agency that's supposed to help us prepare for all future events, they're worthless. They're incompetent. So in addition to being torturers and, usurpers of other governments, regime change specialists, they're incompetent. They don't provide anything useful. They should be abolished as soon as possible.
Okay. So will you replace the CIA with a different organization? And if you replace the CIA with a different organization, which organization would that be?
I would not replace it. We have supposedly 17 intelligence agencies that are part of the intelligence community, so-called, and for example, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, that could easily take up the slack to cover any military threats to the United States. So the CIA does almost no good and a huge amount of harm to the American people.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you wanted to add tonight?
Well,
Geoff?
just to sum up the CIA, what do you call a country where the secret police, the secret intelligence agency, actually runs the country? That's not a democracy. That's not a republic.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Geoff. It's been a pleasure. I'm talking with Geoff Young. He's running for the sixth
congressional district in central and eastern Kentucky.
Fabulous. And it's November 15th, 2021. It was a real pleasure. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Geoff.
Thanks.
And I wish you only the best in your campaign.